In this episode of New York State, You're Great, we'll encounter deer and other wildlife as we show you the gorgeous trails and waterways at Five Rivers Environmental Center in Delmar, New York.
So grab some trail mix and join us to find out what's so great about Five Rivers.
Hi, I'm Amy.
And I'm Laura.
And this is New York State, You're Great.
Today we're kicking off the new year with a visit to one of our favorite hiking spots in the capital region of New York State, Five Rivers Environmental Center.
Five Rivers is located in Delmar, New York, and it's open to the public year-round. It has over 10 miles of trails for hiking, over 450 acres of fields, forest, and wetlands.
In the winter, snowshoeing and cross-country skiing are allowed on the trails. Unfortunately, even though we're filming this in January, there's no snow on the ground here yet.
But being here in the cold brings back the memories of all the gorgeous summer hikes we've enjoyed here over the years.
So even though it's a little brown and muddy today, we'll share some footage from one of our hikes back in the summer when it was lush and green.
One of the best things about Five Rivers is the abundance of wildlife.
Every time we come here, we make new forest friends. Frogs, birds, deer, rabbits, chipmunks, squirrels, all kinds of waterfowl, including herons, geese, and ducks, and so on. Sometimes they can be tricky to catch on camera, so we like to keep a wildlife tally as we hike to keep track of how many new friends we've made that day. Another great thing about Five Rivers is how accessible it is.
Two of the trails, the Woodlot Trail and Nature's Backyard Trail, are accessible for wheelchair users. So are the Visitor Center and restrooms in the Guided School Program building.
And Braille, large print, and audio format guides are available at the Visitor Center, as well as wheelchairs, walkers, and a scooter. Another great thing about Five Rivers is the variety of hiking options. You'll find forests, fields, and wetlands.
The history of Five Rivers is pretty interesting. It started out in the 1930s as the Delmar Experimental Game Farm. Back then, waterfowl and game birds in the area were declining fast, so the goal of the experimental farm was to study them. So you'll see behind me, there are a set of 6 kind of square-shaped ponds here. These are the research ponds. Back when this was the experimental game farm, they used this area for studying, researching, and rearing waterfowl to increase the population.
In its heyday, they bred and reared more than 100,000 waterfowl chicks here every year. Each fall, they released them on state lands throughout New York to rebuild the populations.
They say that the Canada geese who nest at Five Rivers today are descendants of the birds who were originally raised here.
We love to visit the goose families in the spring.
In 1948, people were getting more and more interested in the site, so the staff opened a small exhibit of caged wildlife to the public, which became known as the Delmar Zoo. Families and school groups visited the zoo by the thousands.
Then, in 1970, the Department of Environmental Conservation closed the game farm and zoo, but the land was a beloved community asset, so concerned citizens organized to convince the state to turn the abandoned site into an environmental education center.
They built an amphitheater, blazed new nature trails, and turned the former sign shop into the Visitor Center, which opened to the public in 1972 as the Five Rivers Environmental Education Center. Today, the Visitor Center offers engaging exhibits and a bunch of different educational programs for all ages.
One more truly great thing about Five Rivers is that it's free to visit and hike the trails. Most of their educational programs are free or low cost too. Whenever we don't know where we want to go hiking, Five Rivers is always a great choice. One thing to note is that dogs are not allowed at Five Rivers, so your pupper should sit this one out.
And a bonus great thing about Five Rivers is that it has abundant parking with several accessible spaces. Many hikers know how frustrating it is to arrive at a small, muddy trailhead with too little parking, but Five Rivers has multiple paved lots so that everyone can enjoy the fresh air.
So here's what's so great about Five Rivers.
1. Abundant wildlife.
2. Variety of hiking trails, forests, fields, and wetlands.
3. Accessibility and trail options for all hiking abilities.
4. Educational programs at the Visitor Center.
5. Lots of parking.
6. And best of all, it's free to visit.
To plan your visit to Five Rivers, check out the links and info in our video description.
While you're here, please like this video and subscribe to our channel so you can find out more about what makes New York State so great.
It's great.
What makes it great?
It's in New York State.